Brethren lads, welcome back to Cossy's Arsenal podcast. My name is Cossy. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in all parts of the world. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to a brand new video. We're going to be diving into the latest around Arsenal. Reece Nelson has signed a 100,000 deal at Arsenal. That is per week. It's ridiculous for me, but of course we're going to be diving into that story. Do you think Reece Nelson has earned 100,000 per week after scoring just, I think, 3 goals last campaign? Has he earned the right to get 100,000 per week? And is it a deal that could be, in the future, disastrous for Arsenal? Of course, we're also going to be discussing next steps for Arsenal after Declan Rice agreement, and a deal will be done very, very soon. Arsenal are looking at completing Caicedo, and we are also looking at sales in the next stage of the transfer window. Pepe and a couple of other players that we're also going to be diving into in this video. Nikola Pepe wants some players to get out, including Nikola Pepe, Tierney, as well. If he's not going to stay, if he doesn't want to be there, Rob Holding as well could be seen as a player who will be leaving this summer. So we're going to be discussing next steps after Declan Rice. Hit the like button, subscribe to the podcast as well. Of course, let's get this one to 500 likes. But in the comment box below, do you think Reece Nelson can be a permanent member of the Arsenal squad? Is he one of those players that have a very big future, although I've never judged him as that? Let me know in the comment box below what you think about young Reece Nelson. I think, look, very talented, but I don't think his ambition is up there with the likes of Bukayo Saka. But I'd love your thoughts and opinions in the comment box below. Right, let's dive into it. Chris Whitley has just revealed that after signing Declan Rice, then Arsenal will be looking to say goodbye to Granit Jhaka. He says that Arsenal want to bring a permanent replacement in for Jhaka before sanctioning a move to Leverkusen. Jhaka has already said goodbye to his teammates at a recent end-of-season dinner, and his exit received the blessing of Mikel Arteta, who reluctantly agreed to allow him leave. That's Chris Whitley reporting there for you, right? I think this has always been in the pipeline. Leverkusen have been really smart with this one. They've come in, agreed a deal with Jhaka, agreed a deal with Arsenal. 13 million euros. Actually, we've not talked about the price that we are going to get for Jhaka. After such a fantastic season, 1 year left on his contract, we will receive 13 million euros. Now, compared to what is happening in the world of football, like Bellingham 100, Rice 100, Grealish 100, I think we are being cheated here. I think Arsenal should receive something like 20 million euros for the sale of Granit Xhaka. But that's going to be the automatic. That's going to be the automatic move, and that's going to be the automatic step. The moment Rice steps in, Xhaka's transfer will automatically then be sanctioned to Bayer Leverkusen. Good player, good lad. In my opinion, the last year has been very, very good, but it's time to go. So in the next steps, that's one thing we expect to happen in the next phase of the transfer window. Jhaka saying his goodbyes officially. He's already said goodbye, to his teammates on a recent dinner, as reported by Chris Whitley, and he also says that Mikel Arteta has sanctioned the decision for the player to leave. He has, blessed the decision for the player to leave, although he has done that reluctantly. I really struggle to find a reason as to why every manager that comes in our Arsenal, or every manager that has been at Arsenal for the last 20 years, has been a very big fan of Granit Xhaka. From Arsene Wenger signing him, to Unai Emery using him as and naming him captain, to Mikel Arteta transforming him into one of the best CDMs in the Premier League last campaign. It's marvelous. It's purely marvelous. But let's wait and see. I'll really watch him at Bayer Leverkusen. I want to see how he does in a league that is so slow yet so fast. I would really, really want to see him there. But of course, he's come from there, from Borussia Mönchengladbach. Chris Whitley also says that the next step still from Arsenal after Granit Xhaka's deal is sanctioned will be to try and focus on Moises Caicedo. Says Caicedo wants to join a club in the UCL this summer, and he says that At the moment, Caicedo wants to play UEFA Champions football and is being targeted by both the Gunners and Chelsea. Neither side is yet to make an offer that is formal for the highly rated 21-year-old Ecuadorian player. Arsenal and Chelsea both interested. The Gunners' bid, which was rejected in January, does not stand at the moment. That's according to Chris Whitley. But then he also says that Moises Caicedo doesn't have a fixed preference on which club he wants to join this summer. Sources close to the player have told London World that Chris Whitley actually works for. He says the Ecuadorian midfielder, who is valued at around £75 million, will leave Brighton this summer after joining Arsenal, after almost joining Arsenal in the January transfer window as well. Caicedo wants to play Champions football and is being targeted by both Chelsea and Arsenal, right? So that is the story on Moises Caicedo from Chris Whitley. And I think, look, we've talked about this. Arsenal running for Declan Rice has been a stumbling block for all the other kind of business that we want to do. I think Arsenal, Edu, Mikel Arteta, we never wanted to do divided attention. We never wanted to fight a battle on two fronts. We always wanted to fight a battle on one front, and then we can definitely go on to other fronts and do the business, do the work. But I still think the Moises Caicedo deal will depend on a couple of other factors, including player sales that we're going to talk about, including Arsenal maybe trying to buy some time, right, just to stretch Brighton a little bit. Now, we know they have already received around £35 million for Alexis McAllister. We know that. And we also know that they will be paying around 40 million or even above that if they're going to sign Levy Colwill from Chelsea, okay? So it means they need more money. It means they will sell, okay? And this is where Arsenal really get, for me, the advantage. This is where the advantage comes in. He wants UCL, which is massive, which is big, because we are in the UCL. Chelsea are not, all right? So he wants to play in the UEFA Champions League. That's massive. And he also wants a club that has an organized project. He's 21 years of age. Robert Pires was talking about it last time in an interview. And he said, for Caicedo, you are looking at a project that's going to, further your development. That's number one. But then you're also looking at a club and a manager that believe in you. Now, I think Pochettino really believes in him, but we do not have any guarantees that Pochettino will be a Chelsea manager in the next 5 years. There is no guarantees. I mean, Graham Potter had come in to build a long-term project. The long-term project didn't even last a year, and he's out of the job. The successor, Frank Lampard, is out of the job, and Pochettino is in. So I think if you're Moises Caicedo, and this is from a really biased point of view, as an Arsenal fan, Arsenal is the best destination. They have a manager that will finish 9th and won't be sacked. They have a manager that has finished 8th on 2 occasions and he has kept his job. He's taken them to Europa League, quarterfinals, and he's now taken them to the UEFA Champions League. I just feel Arsenal is the right destination for me. So Arsenal will try to sanction that deal. Arsenal will try to do that deal, but it will depend on a couple of factors. And the factors that are underlying for this deal to happen, one, include player sales. All right. So the Telegraph have written a very interesting piece here about what's going to happen with Arsenal in terms of player sales. And first and foremost, they're saying that the key priority is to see Nikola Pepe leave. So Arsenal are looking for buyers for 72 million flop Nikola Pepe. I mean, flop is a little bit harsh, but it's the true description, right? Let's run through the article and see what Sam Dean has actually written here. It says Arsenal are seeking buyers for Nikola Pepe and have no plans to reintegrate the club record signing into their first team squad ahead of next season. Pepe will join Arsenal for a 72 million in the summer of 2019, spent the 2022-23 campaign on loan at French side Nice. The 28-year-old has only 1 year remaining on his contract, and the North London club are hoping that potential buyers will come for the forward in the next few weeks. Pepe is one of the higher earners on Arsenal's books, though, and with only 12 months left on his deal, there is a possibility that his contract could be terminated by the end of the transfer window. Arsenal hoping to avoid that scenario and instead generate a transfer fee, however small it is, for a player who was the source of much excitement when he first joined the club. Nice are not expected to pursue a permanent deal for Pepe, having said last week that it was the end of his Nice adventure for the Ivory Coast international. Pepe played a total of 28 games for the French club, scoring 8 goals only. Pepe is one of the few remaining first-team players who were signed by Arsenal before Mikel Arteta's appointment in December 2019, including academy graduates. There are only 7 senior players in the current squad who predate Arteta. That is Kvaratskhelia, who could be leaving, William Saliba, who has just signed a new deal, Rob Holding, who could be leaving, Mohamed Elneny, who definitely will leave next summer, Jhaka, who is definitely leaving this summer, and Gabriel Martinelli, who has signed a new deal, right? So that is what the claim is from Sam Dean and the Telegraph, that Nikola Pepe is on his way out, but Arsenal still want to take their chances. We want to see if we can get some money out of him. Look, I think the priority here should be sales. After Rice, the priority should be sales, because we've got to cover the gap. We've got to. I doubt Kroenke has given us 200 million quid to spend. I think it's going to be a 200 million rebuild, don't get me wrong, but I think the 100 million might need to come from our own pockets. We might need to dig deep. We might need to put on that, beautiful suit and then go out on the market and start selling some players and start doing some sales. So Nikola Pepe, if any club can give us around 10 million euros or 15 million euros, it's better than cancelling his contract. I mean, it just puts us in a very difficult situation, doesn't it? And if one day we are ever going to face FFP, breaches and problems, this still is going to be at the forefront. At the forefront. I think Aubameyang really earned his money, 62 million euros. He really earned his money. But the 72 million euros for Nikola Pepe, million pounds, that is like a huge total loss, okay? I reckon he can go back to France. But clubs in France won't give you 10 million euros or 15 million euros of their hard-earned money for a flop like Nikola Pepe. It's not happening. It doesn't happen. Clubs in France have this kind of reputation where they just sign players who have done well, still very young, with a higher prospect of becoming legends of the game. Pepe does not fit that profile. So where do I see Pepe go? I think he might go to maybe Italy. I think AC Milan could use a player like Pepe, on the bench, right? You have Rafael, you have Salamakis, you have, I think they have signed now a very exciting player in Daichi Kamada. They could have Pepe just on the books, especially if one of their wingers is leaving. Especially, look, Brahim Diaz has left, has gone back to Real Madrid. How about a Nikola Pepe? I'm not really sure if he goes to Italy and he can bring back his career on the road, but I think Italy could be quite a very exciting destination. The other destination would be Saudi Arabia, and this would work for both parties. If he goes to Saudi Arabia, they will give him 10, 15 million euros a year, right? That's good money. That's very, very good money, bigger than he can ever spend. And then Arsenal can also get the transfer fee that we want. Maybe 20 million euros, maybe 30 million euros. And what I've seen Todiboli doing, Todiboli has stepped onto a jet. He's flown to Saudi Arabia and is discussing a few deals for some of the Chelsea players that should be leaving, like the likes of Hakim Ziyech. I think Edu should do the same. I think we can do the same. There's some players, if we can get their consent, they're built for the Saudi Arabian league. They want highlights. They're signing players for highlights. And who better to appear in your highlights than Nikola Pepe? The benders, those runs and then instant stops. Yeah, Nikola Pepe for Saudi Arabia would be such a darling signing for them. But then I also think that Arsenal should prioritize Kvaratskhelia. Tierney is not gonna stay. Like need to stop fooling ourselves and being very, overly sympathetic. He's not going to stay. He's gonna go. He wants to go. He doesn't see his future at Arsenal. If Newcastle are giving us the money they are willing to offer, in my opinion, that is when we let him. That is when we let Kieran Tierney go. Of course, it's a difficult decision because it means that Arsenal will be strengthening Newcastle. It's a difficult one, but still, it's one that I think Arsenal should be thinking about doing. Kieran Tierney, 35 million. Nikola Pepe, 15 million. That's 50 million quid. That's money you can spend on Moises Caicedo potentially. And then the 25 you can find from elsewhere. All right. Rob Holding should also be leaving this summer. We can't talk about Pepe and we don't talk about Rob Holding. It will be unfair. Rob Holding should be leaving as well. Like, the fact that we're looking at a new centre back, the fact that we're looking at a new right back, there is no further hope for Rob Holding. There's a time when Newcastle offered us some £10 million or 20, and we turned it down. And for me, if we had not turned that money down, Arsenal could have signed a centre back, and maybe we could have won the Premier League because the games that he played in, he massively did a very bad job for us. So Rob Holding is another one to watch. He should go. Kieran Tierney should go. Jhaka is leaving definitely. Pepe should go. But one other player that I think should go and is gonna stay is Reiss Nelson. Nelson has been given a 100k deal at Arsenal. I couldn't believe when I saw this, but then I stayed calm. I really stayed calm. Now, Reiss Nelson is not a player I hate. Like, not in a million times do I hate Reiss Nelson. I don't remember myself having this kind of dislike, huge dislike for Reiss Nelson. But I've never seen him as a serious player for Arsenal. And giving him 100k, together with Eddie Nketiah, it just makes them very hard players to sell. Like, anyone can give us £30 million for Reiss Nelson. Anyone can give us £20 million for Eddie Nketiah. But these massive wages for a player we are not even sure can replace or can give us the same amount of quality as Bukayo Saka or Gabriel Martinelli, I think it's reckless. I really think it's reckless. But Arsenal have done that. The decision is taken. Let's hope it is the right one. We'll be discussing much of the other stories as they come in. Of course, hit the like button, and I'll see you right in the next one.